What's up, YouTube? Welcome to Play It Painted Live. Starting late for, I don't know, lots of different reasons. I think the main one is my son decided that he was going to stay up later tonight. So that's why we have that. So yeah, starting really late tonight. Honestly, I wasn't sure if I was going to do a live stream. But I figured, why not? Let's go ahead and just paint for about an hour, because that's about all the time I have before I have to go to bed. So and I wanted to do some painting. I needed to do some painting today. It's been a very full day, very eventful day. Not in a good way either. Not a very good eventful day. But yeah, so that's what we're looking at right now. I'm just getting my windows squared away here, so that I can keep the comment sections open and try to see what I'm doing on camera. Okay, so I'm gonna see if Mark is gonna join me. I don't think he is. I'll just let him know I'm online right now. Okay. So anyways, hope you guys are doing well. We'll just go ahead and get to the painting. Okay, so it's been a really rough couple of, actually a rough week or more for me in real life, and then trying to get some stuff done painting. Tonight's hi Tori. Tonight's subject is this miniature. This is the latest Marie Claude miniature for Takahashi University, and you can see I'm underway on the skin here, and she's got a lot of naked time going on here, and kind of a beach theme. She's got the little volleyball. It's actually a huge. That's a beach ball. That's not a volleyball. It's like way too big to be a volleyball. Hey, what's up, Troy? So that's what we're working on tonight. You can see though, there's a lot of skin, and I'm several layers into the skin. Right now, everything is just too, the colors are just too sharp. The transitions in the colors for the skin are just too sharp. I'm gonna have to soften that up. The other part of this miniature is this guy. This is the guy witnessing the wardrobe malfunction, and he's got the textbook nosebleed. Oh, sorry. Love that mini. Sold out at Gen Con. Had to pick it up online afterwards. Yeah, it's a great miniature. I'm going to be using it as my as my Marie Claude for Relic Knights. So I think this is a much better miniature than the Restic one, and obviously this guy will be my cipher for that. Okay, so we figure let's just paint for an hour. There's no pressure to actually finish anything, but although I will try to finish her, it's just I don't think I'm going to push that hard unless I suddenly get really motivated. Okay, so the first thing I need to do is you can see lots of different layers of skin here, but what really needs to happen is I need to soften up those lines. They're just way too sharp. You can see it's almost like cell shaded looking, and I need a softer tone. So in order to get a softer tone, what I'm going to do, I could go two ways. I could take this basic skin tone, and I can make a really, really thin glaze and glaze the whole model. That's kind of where I'm leaning, where I might end up doing. Or I could even go like even lighter and do light flesh. Let's see, off topic, but have you looked at the new Frostgrave book? They give an option to become a lich. No, I haven't picked up the new Frostgrave book. I do have plans to do that, but it hasn't happened yet. I don't know. What do you guys think? Maybe light flesh. That might be, it'll take the color up a little bit and give it a little bit of pink. And I'm willing to try that. I think that may work. I'm going to have to use some flow improver on this, because this light flesh here is kind of a chalky color. So, but the idea is I'm going to make this a really, really thin paint. So I'm really only doing 2 drops of the light flesh. Then I'm going to do 1 drop of flow improver. Then I'm going to do around 4 drops of water. Well, that was a lot more than 4 drops. But again, that's what we're trying to do. So we're going to try to make this a really, really thin glaze, and it's going to go over the whole model. You can see the transitions are just kind of all over the place on this model. And the idea is we're going to try to soften up all these lines. The main point here is making sure that we're going to try to make sure that I'm not introduce. Oh, I should use glaze medium for this too. Actually, that's not too bad without the glaze medium. That's actually okay. So I'm actually just, instead of trying to highlight, I'm going to apply this kind of like you would a wash and just go over the entire model with the idea of trying to soften up, these hard breaks. So this light flesh, this is kind of a homemade glaze that I'm working with here. This should soften up the transitions. And then I'll have to see if it actually leaves a, what I don't want is I don't want it to leave a texture. And it looks like it looks like this is going to be okay. It's going to soften up all the really hard, the areas where the skin wash just settled in a little too hard. And it's giving a lighter tone to the model. And then it should also dry up fairly quick too. The only place I don't want to get this is in the model's eyes and her mouth. So on the face, I actually will target where it should be. But this is perfect with how thin this is. Because really, if I screw it up too bad, at least it's thin enough, it's transparent enough to let the color gradient show through underneath. So I'm going to do that. Oops. A little bit here on the... In fact, I should probably mount this miniature as I typically would once the face is done. Mount the mini. But you guys get the gist of what I'm trying to do here. Basically just making a homemade glaze to blend in all the hard lines. I still want the darker line to show through, but I want the color to be a little more uniform. I don't want to go from a hard, almost a hard brown to a pink on the skin. So as of right now, just have too much of a hard division here. And this is also giving this because it's light flesh, it's also giving the model a pinker tone to it. Yeah, that's pretty much doing what I need it to do, so I'm pretty happy about it so far. It's just, I may have to do a couple of layers of this to make sure that all my transitions are nice and soft. I tell you though, painting this much skin, this much exposed skin, is no easy task. if you want to, if you want to have proper shade, especially this much female skin, and because with female skin, typically you want to go with much softer transitions, and because they don't have the hyper muscle tone that the male miniatures do. Male miniatures have like so much muscle tone on them because they're often like super heroic, whereas the female miniatures have much softer features, but you don't want to lose the detail there. So this is looking pretty good. There we go. So what I could do is I could continue to layer up this hyper thin light flesh and build up a gradient there. She looks really pale right now, but she looks fantastic. I mean, the detail in this miniature is just phenomenal. Anyway, let's go ahead and mount her. Ha, I know, dirty joke. Let's mount her on this, and we'll take, this will be our stand-in Esme. This was difficult because see how the miniature is just attached here to the streams. What I had to do was actually I had to drill tiny little holes in the face and then push the streams into the face. It looks a little weird, but it should look fine once it's all painted in. And his skin, he doesn't have much skin or body at all. So we're just gonna leave that like that. So let's continue on. Same color. And we're just gonna start to target parts of the model. Now that we have a little bit of a softer transition, now I can start to pick a couple of spots on the model where I want the light to pick up. So tops of the shoulders, probably the front of the boobs here. And this paint I'm putting on is so thin that it's like, there we go. Yeah, it's really thin. I'm just gonna pick a few spots here. There's that whole transition there, top of the hip. Now she looks a little bit like she hasn't seen much sun. But Marie Claude, she has somewhat fair skin. She's not pale per se, but she does have somewhat fair skin. Okay, so let's see how this does us. That's looking pretty good. I'm just hoping that it dries down to something we can be happy with. Right now it's just so thin that it's even running here in between the legs. You see that light? I don't want that in there. I'm gonna actually have to suck that one out of there. So I'll just run my brush through there. Knock it out. There we go. Okay. Let's do her hair. Okay, so now let's move over to her hair. Now Marie Claude has very, very fair hair. So you might start with blonde, you might start with yellow ochre. And then we're going to work our way hopefully towards golden yellow. Golden yellow is the color that we're going to try to get to here. And I'm going to try to find. I also need this Iraqi sand out for the base. Where's that golden yellow color? Why don't you guys let us know, if you're just joining us, let us know what you're working on. Tonight we're painting Marie Claude from the Takahashi University set of miniatures. This is by Ninja Division. You actually don't use the Takahashi miniatures for the card game Tentacle Bento, but they're just more of like a collector set of miniatures that come with those come with kind of like special edition cards for Tentacle Bento. So you have a couple different reasons to collect them. And in fact, I didn't play Tentacle Bento when I first started picking up these miniatures. I just wanted the miniature. So that's how I got started. Golden yellow, there we go. That's where we're going. All right. So let's go ahead and get this started. And then, folks, I'm just gonna speak my mind. You know, it's been an emotional week for me so far, and you know, this if I'm being honest, this feed has been fairly tame recently. You know, there's no more crying about Malifaux 2nd Edition. There's no more anger at you know, whatever online group I was not happy with at the time. So been pretty tame. You know, it's been pretty easy going around here lately. What's been going on with me personally, and you know, my mother passing, and you know, I had a brother get really sick, and then today with the whole what happened in San Bernardino, that also hit close to home, and I'll explain that in a minute too. Figured, you know, tonight it's a good night to just sit here and paint, but I'm also going to speak my mind. So you may or may not agree with what I'm going to say, but it's just my opinion. It doesn't reflect the opinions of my employer or anybody I represent, or even Play It Painted. These are just opinions of my own, based on my personal experience. Okay, I don't really share my opinion much. I don't even generally, I don't like talking about this stuff. I really don't. It's more of an annoyance to me than anything. I'm you know, I come on YouTube and I do social media mainly for stuff like gaming and painting and that kind of stuff. And I try to stay out of the whole you know, political arena. I don't like talking about that kind of stuff. The main reason why I don't like talking about it is because I don't, one, I wouldn't say I'm terribly educated on most of the things discussed. The reason why I would talk about them today, though, is because they hit close to home, and I do feel like at least I have enough command of my own experiences to be able to speak. But in general, I don't feel like, you know, I don't feel like I have much to say, or even much at stake with some of these political discussions. Two, I hate American political discussions in general theory, because of bipartisanship, because of how our political system is a sort of, you know, this or that, and those are your options. And if you're not for this, then you must already be pro that. And I really, really hate that idea. And if I'm just being real with you guys, to me, that is a very Western idea. And I'm going to use religion to describe this point. Western religion. When I say Western religion, I'm including like Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. Is the whole point of of these types of religions is they are some people would say they're morally exclusive religions, right? My God is the true God, your God is not. They teach you, if you don't believe in our God, well, you're going to hell, or something horrible is going to happen to you, or I have the right to do something to you. It's divisive. It's automatically an me versus you type scenario. And to extend that out a bit, I do feel like, American Western politics in a lot of ways does the same thing to you. If you're not pro, if you're not pro guns, then you're anti-freedom. If you're not um, pro pro immigration, then you must be a racist. You know, and it's really frustrating. It's really annoying. I really hate this type of talk. I find it divisive. I find it unproductive. And I find it stupid. I find it stupid that you that there's only two opinions on any matter in Western politics. It's really dumb. It's really dumb. And also, apparently there's only two positions on any given matter. And in my opinion, I usually think both of those positions are wrong or flawed in some way. Therefore, I can't actually adhere to one position or another. I can't be a Democrat or a Republican or whatever these days, because it's like it's so stupid. You have to cling. If you identify as one, then you toe the party line and all these other things. And you're expected to toe the line and all these other things. You're not expected to make up your own mind on a case-by-case situation. You're not expected to use your own brain to think for yourself. And I think that's horrible. I think it's like one of the worst ways to go. So anyway, that's my overall thought on this stuff. I think it's stupid. I do. I think it's horrible. And it pisses me off to no end that every single time something happens, sorry, I'm eating. I gotta eat. But it really pisses me off every time something happens that you either have one option or the other option. And you never hear from the moderate. You never hear from people that kind of balance things a different way, or that look at issues from a third option. And I'm going to give you some examples of my third option, okay? So again, this is just political garbage, and take it for what you will. Take it for entertainment only. I really don't care. At the end of the day, I just want to paint my naked mini here and be happy. But here's one example, and I'll just pick this hot topic, right? Immigration. Immigration is such a big deal. It was a big deal in the United States. It was a big deal before, the Syrian crisis. We had immigration. We've had huge debates on immigration, mainly, Latin American immigration, Mexican immigration. Though, to be the politically correct term, undocumented immigration, right? It was always a big topic. So you always had two sides, because we're stupid and we only think of things in two ways. You have the pro-immigration camp, which says, hey, these are people too. Let's let them in. Let's give them amnesty. Let's take care of people. They go from a completely humanitarian aspect. There's a lot of things about that position that I really like and support. But there's also some things that I have to question. Is it well thought out? Do we really have a plan for how to support more people, and so on and so forth, right? Is it really well thought out, or is it really only based on the humanitarian cause? Do we overextend with some of the rights and privileges there, right? Then you have the anti-immigration, which is like, these people are going to come in, they're going to do this, they're going to do that, they're going to be bad for our nation, we shouldn't let them in, yada yada, we need to build a wall, right? And there are some parts to that I know are true. And we're not saying that immigration. I don't think the anti-immigration people are saying that all immigrants are bad, but I think they have a point when they say, "Hey, there's some exploitation of our system going on here, and we need to look at that critically because, the more people that come in and depend on the system that aren't paying taxes, but on the other side produce a strain on our taxpayers, we need to be concerned about that." And I think that's valid. I think that concept is valid. I don't think its implementation is necessarily, or their endpoint, I don't necessarily agree with. But I think if you were to say, hey, if we just let a bunch of people in the movie theater for free, eventually the people who paid for tickets are not going to be very happy, right? So, anyways, I think both positions are flawed ultimately. And you want my opinion on this? I always take the third road. I think if you ask me, and I'm the son of immigrant parents, and I was born on U.S. soil, so I didn't have to naturalize, but everybody else in my family went through naturalization. And one thing that I try to tell people is, hey, talk to some people that went through that, because that really is a different perspective, and that really is when we're talking about nationality, which we're not, sadly, and I think that's also wrong. You should talk to people whose citizenship is fresh in their hearts, who sacrificed, who risked, life or death, and coming over here and came over here with the intent of being a citizen. Okay, so here's where I'm going with that. To me, immigration is a good thing. Immigration, when you consider it unto itself, is a good thing. But we're looking at this issue incorrectly. Okay? To me, the issue is not immigration. To me, the issue is citizenship. And I think that's going to that will piss off a lot of people these days, right? Because I think on this particular argument, one of the things that that both sides seem to do, in my opinion, is completely gloss over the entire concept of citizenship. Okay, you'll see all these discussions of people say, oh well, we've always had our issues with immigrants. We're always afraid of Italian American immigration, Irish American immigration, Asian American immigration. When the Asians came over after Vietnam, Japanese internment, and there's no difference with today. Wait a minute. There is a difference with today, and let me point it out. The difference today is that you don't hear a lot of people you hear a lot of people asserting rights, you hear a lot of people claiming privileges, but you never hear people talking about citizenship. They don't talk about it because it could be because Americans, most Americans have been here for so many generations and have enjoyed their freedom for so long that they can't really grasp the concept of not having these things, which is oddly, in my opinion, one of the reasons why people keep trying to throw their freedoms away. I see a lot of people these days wanting to throw their freedoms away, thinking, oh yeah, it'll be safer if we all throw our freedoms away. I don't necessarily agree with that. But neither side, pro-immigration, anti-immigration, they don't even talk about citizenship. And in my opinion, citizenship is the difference. When you look at waves of immigration throughout American history, the difference between the new large waves of immigration and the previous large waves of immigration is that there was the goal of citizenship, and it was clearly stated, and people can talk about assimilation all they want. That was the goal, was to be productive American citizens. You know, when people like my parents, when some of your parents came over here, the goal was to become citizens. My parents were that was their whole ideas. We're going to come, we, you know, across the sea, across over in the Philippines, they saw America and say, hey, there's opportunity there, there's freedom there. They fled a dictatorship over in the Philippines. They fled the Marcos regime, and they looked at what was over here in the United States and said, they didn't say we want that stuff. They said, I wanted to be part of that. Like, they didn't say, I want America's vast resources, their wealth. I want their government support. They didn't say that. They said, I want to be a part of that. I want to be a part of that freedom. I want to enjoy the opportunity to make a better life for my family. And that's different. Examine that closely, what I just said. That's the different thing than, you know, we just need to get out of our situation. And if the attitude of people over here is to hand people things, well, when you hand people things, they don't have any value. And what we currently have is the continual devaluation of American citizenship. Some people, I know some people are hoping for like this borderless world, and they don't want to, you know, oh, citizenship is crazy because nationalism carried to its extreme becomes fascism. Okay, yeah, I get that. But you live in a free country. You live in a country where, and you don't even realize what you can do here that you can't do in other parts of the world. And to continually devalue that, and then teach people coming in here to devalue that aspect, and just expect support and expect aid, and then cry racism or something when it's not rendered, that's wrong. That's not helping the country become, you know, that's not continuing the process of making the country better. That's just taking a rich house and letting letting people in, and not telling them that they get to be a part of the household. That's just giving them stuff until they wreck it, you know? And the truth is, they're not the ones wrecking it. We're teaching them to wreck it, because we're not fostering this idea that, hey, you should want citizenship. You should want citizenship. There are more there are incentives now for not being an American citizen, but being on American soil. There are celebrities, there are people that proudly claim that they're not U.S. citizens, but are more than happy to criticize our policies. They're more than happy to sit on the sidelines, collect all the benefits of things. And I'm not talking about the poor immigrants that come over. I'm talking about high-profile celebrity, quote-unquote, immigrants that have come over here. They've written books about, oh, America's so bad. They come to that is just mind-boggling to me. They come over to America, they hate America, and then they profit off of telling people it's bad. And then we don't actually condemn them. We just say, oh, yeah, no, it's bad. Yeah, it's bad. That's not going to help anybody. That's not helping anybody. Sorry. If you really are pro-immigration and you want people around the world to enjoy the freedom and the potential and the opportunity that you have here in the United States, then you have to promote excellence, and you have to promote this idea that people should want to become citizens. That should be the goal. So anyways, that's my option C in that particular case. That is just, I don't think the people are looking at they're only looking at that issue of let them in, don't let them in. That's not really, in my opinion, that's not even the issue. Yes, we should try to let immigrants into the country. No, we should not just blindly let them in. We should actually foster this idea that they should want to become citizens. So anyways, that's kind of where I'm going. That's where most of my opinions lie. It's just that I often think that there's a third option that never gets talked about because it's not sensationalized, and maybe people just don't even look at it that way anymore. But there is something to be said that I do feel that the newer generation of people, not just the kids, but I mean the newer thinking, is that U.S. citizenship, it just doesn't even enter the equation. It's just expected. It's assumed. Citizenship is almost an offensive term to some people because it's like, oh, I'm part of the club. You're not part of the club. Well, I'm sorry. There's a reason why people are coming over here. And if you want to keep that reason alive, and you want to continue to make this a good place for people to want to come over here, because it's fantastic that we can render aid to people that have to flee horrible parts of the world. But giving people handouts and letting them continually sap a system until it's all gone, until it's all ripped out, that's a terrible long-term strategy. So anyway, let's read some comments here. Let's see. When it comes to guns, I'm pro Second Amendment. My problems who think they can limit my gun ownership with unconstitutional laws. If you don't like guns, you got to start with ratifying the Constitution. Just notice the model is on a deep base. Are those cool? Oh no, these aren't CMON bases. These are secret weapon bases. I'm going to eventually put a little bit of water in this. Okay, yeah, and that's where I'm going. I'm going to go, Troy, I'm right there. I'm going to go to that, the events of today, because they did hit a personal level with me. Just so you know, I was explaining today to somebody that I live in Orange County, California now, but I spent most of my time in California, in the San Bernardino area. I grew up in one of the suburbs of San Bernardino, and I just 3 days ago I drove right past the area where where the shootings happened. So I know the area very well. And when this all went down, with most of my family being there in San Bernardino, I put in the call over there, called my niece, and I said, hey, is everybody okay? Can you do a head count for me? Can you find out what's going on? She went ahead and did that. We found out that a couple of my nephews were in the area of the shootings, and their businesses were shut down or locked down. One of them was actually on lockdown at his place of work. The other nephew was sent home. And it was a little tentative for a while, just trying to track everybody, make sure everybody's okay. Again, this is like, I feel like it's my backyard because I know the town very well. I've driven through that area many times, and let's be real here. That's not a very good area. That is not a very good area. So, but yeah, when this whole thing went down, that was a scary moment. Right after my mom died and all this stuff, and we were getting ready to bury her and all this stuff. I'm like, well, I'm thinking to myself, are we gonna bury more of my family because of some nonsense that happened? That's crap. But anyway, so I guess all I'm trying to say there is I have a personal stake here in what happened today. Okay, I have a personal connection to San Bernardino. It was my hometown for a number of years. I went to high school out there, so that's all I was trying to say. Okay, so this whole thing goes down. I'm in a half panic. I'm not in a full panic. I'm in a half panic. Like, okay, we got to make sure that the family's accounted for and all that stuff. Now, this is about noon today. I had lunch with my with my team at work, and I just caught it. I kind of picked it up on my phone that this went down, and I uh, started that whole process of trying to find everybody. But it was bothering me, and within minutes of all this stuff going down and being reported, you have people coming out from the left, from the right, you know, gun control, and other people are like, oh, it's probably those dirty Muslims, and other people are saying, oh, it'd be great if this or that, and they're trying to politicize it immediately, and that's really when I started to get really upset. These are same with Paris, same with all the other stuff. These are they're the bodies are still warm. This is a very real, very human tragedy, and for me, it's a personal. This was a personal crisis. Not at least it was when I was worried about my family. And before we even get what's going on, people want to somehow craft this into whatever story that they're selling, whatever political position that they're behind. And I think that's disgusting. I think it's repulsive. I don't care. We'll have plenty of time to argue about that crap later. Right now, there's still a gun. There's still one of the suspects on the loose, and we got to look at that. The focus should be on getting aid to the people that were hurt, getting support out to the families that were destroyed. Instead, and helping those people get the information they need, instead of trying to turn it into some stupid debate. So anyway, that's what we're getting at. It was a gun control thing. People were automatically trying to guess the ethnicity of the shooter. And initially I was like, well, who cares right now? Who cares what ethnicity is they are, except for the purposes of trying to identify the suspect. You trying to politicize their identity or the circumstances of their birth while the subject is still ongoing is really careless. It's really thoughtless. So anyways, let's see. I'm not against the idea of changing the Constitution to back up the current gun laws we have. There are definitely weapons civilians should not have access to. Yeah. Okay. So let's talk about. I'll talk to you about my own stance on gun control, and I'm just going to share it again. This is just for entertainment. My opinions do not reflect the opinions of my employers or play opinion or whatever, right? We're just talking shit here, and I'm painting my naked mini, and we're going to be happy with that. I'm going to let that sand dry for a minute. Okay. So my whole thing about gun control is I think that we have the whole issue is just way too conflated. There are many, many aspects that, in my opinion, should really be broken out and examined before you can say gun control, not or unrestricted guns, get rid of all the guns, because that's all those are of not all this gun violence happening. That's one side. The other side is, oh, you can't take my guns. I'm allowed to have whatever I want, and I'll keep all the guns I want, and I should be allowed to have an over-under grenade launcher if I wanted one, right? So that's all you ever hear, the two extremes, and and both arguments are flawed. Again, in my opinion, I just look at these issues and I go, okay, well, these people are wrong on this count. They're right on this count, because everybody's right to a degree, but also the fact that there's only two opinions usually means that they're also wrong on one side or the other. Now I'm going to explain my position, and it's going to sound completely hypocritical to you and wrong, but I'll have to break it down into more specific issues. Okay, so I'm going to have a sip of my Diet Coke here. Okay, so here we go. My official position on this. Dun, 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 this means whether or not you vote for me for president. No, it doesn't. Who cares, right? I am pro-gun. I'm also pro-gun control, and that's where I stand, because there are individual components that are conflated, and if you separated them out and considered them, or at least when I did this, I landed on that. I am pro-gun, but I'm also pro-gun regulation. That means I'm not for taking guns away from people conditionally. Okay, so when we talk about the Second Amendment is fantastic. The Second Amendment is the right to bear arms, and it goes on to say that the American people can have a well-trained and maintained militia, and a lot of the language around that is around this idea that we can protect our homelands, that we can, and that even if our own government were to become a danger to us, we can protect ourselves in such a case. And I'm all for that. A lot of the pro-gun side, they talk about keeping guns for personal protection. I'm all for that. Okay, so San Bernardino, like I said, that town is not a very good town. It's really not. It's not a very safe town. And I knew people that lived in that particular area, and when this whole thing went down, honestly, I was a little shocked that we didn't see more like civilian action, because I know, driving down Waterman Avenue, I know that there's some people packing around that area, and they don't have registered guns. They don't, right? So, woo. So I was thinking, hey, if people showed up and just started shooting up the place, somebody's going to have a gun on them. My brother is a probation officer, and he's typically armed. So if he were there, he would probably, being a cop, he would probably get involved in that shootout. But I'm not talking about my brother. I'm talking about the people on the streets there on Waterman Avenue. There's a lot of guns in that area, a lot of armed people. And you want to know what? I can't blame them. I can't blame them. I know those neighborhoods out there, right? If you lived in those poor neighborhoods out there, and your neighbors knew you didn't have a gun, imagine what they will do to you. It is very, very easy for me to sit over here in Orange County and go, oh, you shouldn't have a gun. That's so violent. Or, you don't need that. You don't need to protect yourself. Well, sometimes it's not really about getting into that locked box, or, breaking out your shotgun and standing on your porch. It's not about those, we talk about those individual acts of heroism. Yeah, those are going to happen, but those are, that's like lightning striking. That's like getting hit by lightning. Those are few and far between. That's not a valid argument. It does occur. But in those areas, in those neighborhoods, the threat of you owning a gun is really the gravity of owning a gun. Okay, we're not talking about having shootouts with your neighbor. Like I said, if you were to live in that neighborhood and they knew that you didn't own a gun, the seedier side of your neighborhood, well, you're asking for problems. If your neighbors know you have a gun it's kind of like the nuclear, I hate to put it this way, but it's kind of like nuclear armament. It's something that you never want to use, but your neighbor needs to know that you have that. They need to know that you have that capability. And I'm not going to, from a personal protection standpoint, I am completely against the idea that citizens in a free country do not have a means of protecting themselves. Okay? But here's where I'm pro. So from those aspects, like I said, letter of the law for Second Amendment, and then putting yourself in the shoes of people in this particular scenario, I'm pro-gun. Yet, I would tell you that I'm also pro gun regulations. Okay? So here's the thing. Gun regulation, to my mind, isn't about removing guns. And a lot of pro-gun regulation people will say that too. It's not about taking people's guns away, but it's about restricting the kinds of armament and the access to armament for certain types of people. When we talk about unnecessary gun violence, we're not talking about people that plan gun violence, okay? Or we shouldn't be, because that's stupid. I'll get into that for a second. We're not talking about that. We're talking about gun accidents. We're talking about gun accidents that involve children, that involve people who don't have the mental capacity to handle lethal equipment like guns. I'm talking about mentally and emotionally unstable people should not have access to guns. That's what we're talking about. If you're talking about people like today that planned to go in and do some violence to people, gun regulations are not going to stop these people. And that argument always comes up. It's like, yeah, the bad guys want guns, bad guys are going to get guns. If bad guys can't get guns, bad guys will use poisonous gases. They'll poison our waters. They'll use explosives. Okay, if you're planning to harm people, you will harm people. It isn't gun regulation, is only going to affect that in only the most minor way. So to say, oh, if we had gun regulations, those people with their AR-15s wouldn't be able to shoot up, the Inland Empire. That's stupid. That's wrong. And when you present that argument, you're making your side, you're making pro-gun regulation look even dumber, because it has nothing to do with that. When you're talking about gun regulation for the sake of removing what I would say, I guess from a legal standpoint, we would call it manslaughter, or not premeditated murder from a mentally and emotionally sound point of view. Keeping the guns from crazy people, keeping the guns from children, yeah, then I'm pro gun regulation. Yeah, those people shouldn't have guns. But at the same time, everybody, every sane, fully formed adult, and I know we're starting to become fewer and further between, it seems, we have a right to protect ourselves. Those people, the people that live there off Waterman Avenue, off Baseline, off Arrowhead Lane in San Bernardino, you're going to walk up to the one law-abiding citizen in their neighborhood and tell them, oh, well, if you're going to obey the law, you get to be the only person in the neighborhood who doesn't have a gun, is completely irresponsible and stupid. Instead, I would offer this. It's our right. Personal protection is a right, but a gun is a crutch in that case, right? It's the anti-gun people have demonstrated, to my mind, that a gun for personal protection really isn't all that effective when it comes down to it. If you're using a safety, if you're using a lock, if you've got it in a safe place in your house, it's not accessible when you need it. It's not really serving its literal purpose. It's serving the purpose I talked about initially, where your neighbors know you have a gun, so they're not going to mess with you. Yeah, serves a purpose there. But to say, oh, I'm going to go get my gun, and then you run under your bed and you have to remember the combination to your safe and you pull your gun. That's completely stupid. So instead, I challenge our technology. I challenge for personal protection, and we're getting better about this stuff. You know, we got pepper spray, we've got tasers, we've got that kind of stuff, non-lethal stuff. That technology needs to continue to advance. And if we're just keep my gun, and we're keeping our guns for the wrong reasons, then we're not really challenging ourselves to become a safer place for everybody. So from that standpoint, I'm pro gun regulation, right? So I hope that makes sense. It's taking the idea of not have guns, and breaking it down into its, the specific reasons why people need guns and the specific reason why people don't need guns, and just looking at those issues separately and trying to tackle them separately, because those are real people behind each stance. Those are real people with real concerns, and they're legitimate on both sides. And to say that one argument's right and the other one isn't is stupid. It's stupid, and I'm sick and tired of hearing this crap everywhere regarding any matter. Oh, I'm pro this. That means you're anti that. That is stupid, people. That's stupid. Okay? There is no one political party that has exclusive rights to the correct answer. And in fact, the correct answer is often somewhere in between. And again, with the technology thing, we have technology that can do the dumbest crap ever, right? From your cell phone, you can record your favorite show on TV, unlock your house, turn on your lights, open your garage door. Our technology allows us to do stupid crap. We spend so much time on research to keep our dicks hard and all that, and keep hair on our heads. You would think if personal protection meant that much to us, that we would invest more time and more money developing personal protection that's safe and effective, that's safer and more effective than a handgun. And I firmly believe that. I think challenge the industry to come up with that. Imagine that if we had a personal protection device that you could use that was safe and effective and kept you and the people you cared about safe at the moment it mattered, and was accessible to you and only you. Imagine what people would pay for that. You're anti-gun people. I'm just poking fun here. You're bleeding heart liberal people. They would be tripping over themselves to have that. Who doesn't want to feel safe, right? But at the same time, a gun has no morals. A gun is just, it's made for one thing, and it does that one thing well, but it does not judge, and it does not make distinction between child or robber, right? It's silly to me that we do not challenge our industries, that we don't challenge our society to come up with better personal protection. That's silly to me. It's crazy to me. You know what else is crazy to me while we're on this? Gun-free zones is the stupidest crap ever. Okay, now look at these targets where people are hitting. The main thing I'm going to pick on is schools. These crazies, or in some cases domestic terrorists, whatever the hell you want to call them, proudly saying, "Oh, we're a gun-free zone," is basically saying, "Come over here and shoot. Target-rich environment, right? Easy kills." That is completely stupid. It is asinine. It's like that. It's like that example I brought up. That would be like telling your neighbor, oh, I don't keep you live in that shitty neighborhood in San Bernardino, and you tell them, oh, well, I don't keep the door locked, and I got this hot wife here who's not wearing any clothes half the time, and there's free food, and oh yeah, by the way, we don't have a gun. You know, it that's stupid. Gun-free zones, seriously, shut the hell up. But people that say stupid crap like that is just, oh my God, that just sets me off. Gun-free zone is, yes, it is come here and shoot. It's stupid. But yeah, they know exactly where to hit because we are so completely dumb when it comes to proclaiming our safety. And here's the thing: we keep armed guards in banks. That's where most of the armed, non-police are. Is they're in banks. They're around celebrities. You may have a couple at the airport, not a lot. And then there's none in our schools. Fuck that noise. That's crazy. That's crazy. My wife teaches high school. My wife is around adolescents, unstable, some from very low income places. Some are very desperate. That's where a lot of this comes from too, very desperate people. And there isn't anyone armed on campus. That is stupid for the people that should mean the most in society, that should be the most valuable in society, our own children. I mean, that's crazy. That is crazy. If they said, hey, we're going to pay the money, and yeah, we do need to pay the money. We do need to pay the money for education. That's important. We're going to pay the money, and we're going to have professionals on site that are armed and can handle situations as they occur on campus. I am all for that. It is so stupid. It is dangerous that we send the people that we love, the most vulnerable people, into areas, and then we put up a sign that says gun-free zone. It's just stupid. And again, this is coming from somebody who is, quote unquote, pro-gun control. I'm just saying, apply some common sense. I flew to Hong Kong a week after 9/11. I had to fly there for business, and it was 10. Everybody in the airports at that time, everyone was scared. Everybody was scared, right? Everybody was looking over everybody's shoulder, and sadly, we were all kind of looking over it. Especially people from the Middle East or people from parts of Asia. We would all get in there. Oh no, that person has the, this person. Even if like this, how racist we were, like, oh, even a Sikh or whatever, right? So everybody was paranoid. I just remember leaving LAX and then eventually landing over in Hong Kong, getting off the plane and seeing armed guards. And you know what I thought at that point? I thought, hey, I feel so much safer that there are guys walking around, and other people will go, oh, that's crazy. There's people walking around with machine guns, and they get offended or scared. Fuck you. You're stupid. Are you kidding me? You see guys, if you see armed military professionals that are armed and clearly know how to use them, you should feel safer. I feel safer. And then obviously, if they're from a regime that wants to come over your house and take over, that's a totally different story. But you know what I mean. I landed in Hong Kong airport a week after 9/11. I felt way safer there than I did at LAX. LAX, there was no armed guards to be seen. I'm sure there are some there, but man, I felt a lot safer that everybody knew that the dudes with the berets and the what did they have, the HKMP5s or whatever they call those. Little submachine guns, they had those there. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to hang out near the security because shit, if I'm scared, I know where the guys with the guns are. The good guys, the guys that are there to protect us. Meanwhile, San Bernardino, they kept 6 or 7 security on staff that were unarmed. The security guards, your regular rental cop guys. And then that's a tough job. You usually have to deal with transients or just, especially where they're that location, you're dealing with unstable people all the time. But when the real shit goes down, like when today goes down, you don't have a gun. You're hiding just like everybody else. So anyway, I know I should be doing a little more painting, a little less rambling here. But this is a little therapeutic, and I'm glad I can actually get my thoughts out on some of these issues. I don't like talking about this stuff, though. I really don't. I don't like talking about it. Not only that, it's been my experience that most people just don't like to hear it. So I'm cool with that. I don't blame them. Let's just paint the naked chick, Octave, right? So let's see. Rules is written. The Second Amendment implies my right to bear arms is without restriction. Like I could just have a tank. Right. Hook them in a VR game. Scientists have made a laser that can freeze things. The future is freeze rays. Hey, if you could freeze and detain people safely, why not? I'd be down with that. I had the idea once that when I was in high school, I was like, you know what? I'm not anti-gun, but I like the Chris Rock idea. You can have guns, but make bullets cost $10,000 each and make it so that all guns can only fire one bullet. Give people the old muskets or the old flintlocks. But whatever. I know. I'm just talking out my ass. Clearly, I don't have solutions for this kind of stuff. I just think we're looking at it wrong. I don't think that personal protection needs to be synonymous with gun ownership. And I don't think that you can really talk about immigration without talking about citizenship. So there you have it. Right? Have I talked enough trash for one night? And are we good? Can I get back to painting? I don't know. You guys tell me. Should I don't know if I'm still happy with this skin. Let me show you guys what's going on. She looks kind of pasty. The transitions are softer, but they're not necessarily nicer looking. She looks kind of pasty. I think I'm going to wash her again. Jeez, I'm just going crazy here. I don't care. I will spend as much time as I need to on this miniature because I love it. Oh, shoot. I bought, the other night, Privateer Press Flesh Wash. Hold on one sec, guys. Okay, hold on. Okay, so here we go. Sorry about that. So who was the idiot that left the P3 Flesh Wash in their car? Raise their hand. That's my hand. All right. We got rid of all guns. Crossbow shootings would start to rise. Yes, most definitely. There would be a marked sociological advantage to those who knew how to load and fire a crossbow. So now I think I have to return that honey blonde to this. Yeah, I'm gonna have to come back with the sepia wash. I just have to. This is just too. It's just too pasty. I think I can do this if I'm careful with it and I don't let it build too much. Should be okay. So I'm just thinning out some sepia wash here. I think if I apply this carefully, it should be okay. All right, so nice and thin. Just let it run. There we go. I thinned the wash too much. I know archery. Don't you think though that we could do a much better job with personal protection, and I think we should challenge the market to develop around those technologies. If we just say, "Oh yeah, guns are it," we'll never really get better. We'll never really get safer. It will always be that option A or option B, and neither one of them are very good options. Man. It's not quite doing what I need it to do. Not quite doing what I need it to do. Now I have a real problem. Gotta figure out how to get this to do what I need it to do. Do I just keep adding wash to it until it gets... I guess I can do that. Just keep doing layers of wash until it gets to be the color I need it to be. Who knows? Sooner or later, I'm going to give up and just be happy with wherever this model happens to land. It's a shame because the sculpt is just amazing. Got to be one of my favorite sculpts. Oh, shoot. Yeah. So I'm going to apply it. One thing that's good about doing all these layers is the skin is actually starting to look really complex. And we want that. I want it to look complex without having hard edges anywhere. All right. So, okay, doing pretty good. Let's let that dry, and we'll continue on with the beach ball here. Off topic, Samurai Jack is returning to TV. Yeah, I heard that. That was kind of a big deal for us nerds. I watched a little Samurai Jack growing up, not a whole lot, but I always liked it. Just Never seem to catch it. So Troy, can I ask you, are you playing? Oh, so's X-Files. Yeah, my cousin loves X-Files. So uh, she's very eagerly awaiting that. So yeah, Troy, I was going to ask you, are you playing Guild Ball? That's what I want to know. And do you have any thoughts on it? I've been asking a lot of people about Guild Ball just because that does seem to be, there seems to be a growing buzz around that game. I do have a team on order that I'm waiting for. So there's that. So I'm going to look forward to painting those. And I'm just painting these Takahashi minis for fun. Obviously, I don't need this model to play Relic Knights, but it's quite fun that she's around, because then I can place something really fun on the table and play it as such, right? All right, let's paint nosebleeds here. What team drew you in? For me, it was the Masons. I thought everybody told me, oh, you'll love the Fishermen. You'll love the Fishermen. And their playstyle sounds really cool because I like to play finesse teams when we're talking Blood Bowl. I like those teams over the Bashy style teams. But the Fisherman sculpts, they have a couple of sculpts that I really like. Pretty much all the teams have 2 to 3 sculpts that I really can get behind. But I looked at the Masons overall and their sculpts in their range, and I was like, no, those are really nice, and I want to paint those. So the Masons drew me in. That's the team I'm at least going to paint and see if I like the playstyle of, and that's where I'll start. Stuff should be getting here within the next week or so. The other thing that just came in, my Knights of Dice order. So I ordered some buildings from Knights of Dice, and I ordered during Extra Life, and I asked Viv, hey, do you want to kick in anything for Extra Life? And he was like, for sure, because he's Viv. Viv is amazing. And so he sent me a bunch of extra stuff, and that just got here yesterday. And I went through it, and it's awesome. And I want to show it to you guys, but I haven't broken anything out of the package yet. The extra stuff that he sent me, I'm going to use for price support for upcoming events into next year. I had to I made sure that was cool with him. I said, hey, our Extra Life, our Extra Life campaign is over. I could continue I can try to raffle at this point at time of the year because the fundraising is still open. However, I warned him that, if we do that, chances are I'm not going to get a large response because the people that are paying attention, the people that we're sponsoring, they're at this point, they're pretty much considering our Extra Life a done deal. So we're pretty much closed up from their standpoint. All right, download the rules in the paper minis. Want to give it a try. D6 Generation had a good review. Also found an online store in the US that carries them. So yeah, this funny thing, Troy, I was like, oh, I want to listen to a Guild Ball podcast. So I fire up a podcast called Guild Ball Tonight. And lo and behold, what's his name? Bill Anderson. If you remember him from the Gamers Lounge, right? The big Malifaux guy. Back in the day, back in the 1.5 days, Bill Anderson, me, we were some of the more notable henchmen at the time. Where our days are long past now, but back in the days, that was like Bill Anderson, and so he's into Guild Ball. So I'm like, don't always agree with Bill, but I know he plays a lot of games like I do, and I do value his opinion on games. So that's a good sign that Bill's doing a podcast on it. So that was a good sign, and he said that Ratty has he put his touches on the game as well, and I'm like, okay, that's also a really good sign because I really like what Ratty did. Yeah, Bill Anderson. Yeah, he was the Dead Tau Project or the Gamers Lounge. So that's where most of us know him from. So he's involved in playing Guild Ball. I don't think he's involved in any official capacity or anything like that. Whoa, nosebleed. Blah. Okay, so let's get back and put a little blue on the model. Let's see how this is coming along. Okay, so she's getting a little bit of a tan now. That's good. Let's do another layer of wash. There we go. Okay, now she's looking a little healthier. It's got a little sun on her. And the good news is I think I was able to go so thin on the wash that it's still pretty subtle. Still not seeing, I don't have any really hard lines on her. I remember him, one of the biggest Malfoy supporters and one of the more outspoken 2.0. Yeah. Well, just so you know, it was him, Dan Weber, myself, and what's his name from the Chicago area, the henchman from the Chicago area, who also at the time, the 1.5 days, had a large player base around him. We were doing some kind of work behind the scenes on some rule sets and that kind of stuff leading up to 2.0, and and so that falling out started off internally. It was a very private thing when that started. So and I tried to, at least initially, I tried to stay diplomatic about it, and then I just, not one of my prouder moments. But yeah, then we just went full on rebels. Whatever. Yeah, that's, you met Dan at KublaCon. Cool. Yeah. I still want to get up to KublaCon. Problem is I have Strategicon GameX that weekend, and it's my birthday weekend. So it's like, however, maybe, and this is a big maybe I can talk the wife into making the trip up there for KublaCon for my birthday. We'll have to see. I've been wanting to go to KublaCon though. And Strategicon's fun, but it happens 3 times a year, and it's just, it's just the same, pretty much the same thing every time. It's not a bad thing, it's your local con. You can spend the weekend with your friends, you play some games, and you're good. That's cool. I don't have a problem with that. I have an issue with, my issue is with wanting to do some of the other cons that are happening around the same time. KublaCon being the main one. I would love to go to KublaCon and throw what I'm terming the QK hardcore format. So QK hardcore for me. Think Henchman Hardcore, but for Relic Knights, Questing Knight only, 35 points, play to 6. The games go really fast with experienced players, but it's such a small entry point that it's also new player friendly to a degree. And the fact that you don't have Relic Knights there to just stomp someone out, and Questing Knights typically have more distinctive playstyles, and they have distinct weaknesses. So that also prevents, total dominance of one model for the game. Yeah, I'd love to go to Kubla Khan. Are you going to Kingdom Con next year, Troy? I'll try to get I'm gonna make an effort to try to do 2 days of Kingdom Con if I can next year. If I do Kingdom Con next year and I do 2 days, I'm gonna plug the shit out of it on this show. Try to get as many of my viewers, all 4 of you guys, trying to get you guys down there to Kingdom Con. This is a good time, and you'll probably walk away with some drunken story about me, which is always good. So let's see. Oh yeah, I forgot there's another convention the same weekend. I want to check that one out sometime. KublaCon is the biggest and best Northern California gaming. Yeah, you know what, honestly, Troy, instead of going to GameX, you should go to OrcCon. Go to OrcCon in February, or you can go to Gateway. They're all pretty much the same. It's the same con. It's just 3 times a year. So yeah, so check that out. Let's see. It's late, isn't it? Yeah, it's late. I'm still painting. I don't know. I just feel like I'm just gonna paint until I don't want to paint. How about that? I'm sure we're good with that. We're gonna just paint until we don't want to paint, and we'll sort it out tomorrow morning when I'm too tired to work. How about that? Totally down with that. But yeah, maybe, not sure yet. Still planning out my cons for next year. So far, just KublaCon and okay. If you're going to Gen Con, I gotta try to go back to Gen Con. I missed my Gen Con, man. Miss it. I want to go to Gen Con and work the Soda Pop booth and maybe host a Relic Knights tournament. I'm like hooked. I'm back. I got the Relic Knights fever back, man. I do. All the new Questing Knights, I was like so down on the game, waiting for my Gen Con stuff. It was like pissing me off. I know I'd vented to some of you guys on Facebook, like not happy. But man, they came back in a big way. I'm excited. I want to play. I don't know if it will have a big following, but I almost don't care at this point. The format that we play is like, if I have some people just willing to game around me, I'll just throw miniatures at them, and we'll just play, because it's fun. Where you're done in an hour or often less, and you can do several games in an evening. Last night we played 3 games of Relic Knights in 4 hours, plus had dinner, plus went shopping twice, and the third game was a multiplayer. You can't really argue with that. I love that. Oh, got to go to Gen Con. Have you been to Gen Con yet? I'm passing on Vegas Open next year because they scheduled it on Super Bowl weekend. Oh, that's crazy. I'm shocked. Why would Reese and those guys even allow that? I don't understand. That's really shocking. Maybe they did it so that they can all be on Vegas for Super Bowl weekend and enjoy the game there. And whoever happens to be running a tournament on Sunday, sorry, buddy, not a good idea. All right, so Oops. So here's this dude. He's coming along. Man, I don't know. I don't know if I want to put another layer on Marie-Claude here. Kinda do. Kinda do. She's looking pretty good, though. I don't know. Let's at least finish the yellow. She's fun. This model's fun. Good thing I actually like the Marie-Claude playstyle now for Relic Knights too. Of the resin questing knights I haven't tried Codebreaker yet. A friend of mine is going to be playing Codebreaker this week against me because she had clear ideas of what she wanted to do with Codebreaker, and I'm like, I'm not really that into Codebreaker. So we'll see Codebreaker. But right now, of all the resin questing knights, I also haven't tried Golden Vance because I just didn't get him as part of my order. But right now, of all the questing knights, I would have to say my favorite playstyle is Anthony from Doctrine, who has the most boring name ever, but is a really cool playstyle. I love that dual cipher kind of switch offense and defense type thing that he's got. I think that's pretty awesome. All right, I'm going to miss Vegas Open, though. Guys from Hawk Games, Drop Zone Commander, usually fly all the way from UK to promote there. Yeah, I don't know. For me, next year, probably sticking with the WonderCon, Kingdom Con, Comic Con. I'm going to stick with those. But I don't know. Kingdom Con is a must, though, for you guys. It really is. It's super fun. Don't look at it like it's a big US convention, because it's not. It's actually a reasonably sized gaming convention, though, when you consider gaming conventions in Southern California. It's one of the bigger ones, anyway. So it has that, but as far as it's just it's a party, Kingdom Con's a party. It's fun. And I recommend people go to that. I'm going to put a wash here on the sand. And then just come back and highlight it once that wash is dry. Looks like wet sand right now. And let's do this. I'm actually going to wash the bloodstreams too. Give them a little more character. No cons for me this coming year. I'm going to do TempleCon and Adepticon. Never been to either of those. I was told that I should do Adepticon once, but then I really probably won't have to do it ever again if I do it once. I want to, if I do end up going to Adepticon next year by some miracle, I'm going to play Batman and Guild Ball. That's what I want to play at Adepticon. Batman and Guild Ball. If you do end up with it at Adepticon, Troy, let me know. Let's enter the same tournament together, and then we can talk super trash towards each other and see who places. Probably won't be me if it's Batman, because I build bad Batman lists. All right. Doing all right. Almost midnight here. I am going to do this. I'm going to make another little wash here. for skin, here we go again. Do the same thing. A little bit of this light flesh. Ooh, that was a lot of light flesh, actually. If you play Batman at the tournament, it will be cool. Yeah, I'd love to do that. Do that. I'm going to add a couple drops of glaze medium and a couple drops of water. Actually, I'm not going to add a couple of drops. Well, I will. Hold on. I actually am going to add a little bit of sepia to this. Sepia wash. Because why not? Thinking of adding Deathstroke to my Harley Quinn crew. I need a big point filler. I think the next crew, well, once I finish painting all my stuff for Batman, which is, I have a few miniatures here. Once I do that, I can justify buying a few more things for Batman. I want to buy that Wonderland crew for sure, because I love those minis. And I'm going to run those with Heath Ledger Joker. And then I'm going to want the comic book Talia, because regular Talia model is just so ugly. It's just such a shame. All right. So now, actually, I should probably use the. So now I'm going to make my own little, like, we're almost like back to square one where we started at the beginning of this, where I have this really thin light flesh wash that I'm going to use to highlight. My town has an expo, just won't be going. Troy Deathstroke, why Deathstroke? I don't know, Troy, why Deathstroke? I also want to know. All right. Okay, so now should be able to do is just should be able to highlight really, really thin. Now we start off on these shoulders. I think my tip on this brush is just about gone. It's not leaving the best finish here. All right, let's see. Deathstroke has a machine gun, just like Harley, and he's really expensive, plus a comic book where they both teamed up, so it seems fluffy. That sounds like sound logic to me. If they actually did it in a comic book, then yes, it's a good enough reason for me to want to put them together. All right. So I think now, starting to get a little glow on the skin. Yeah, this is starting to look good. A little healthy glow on the skin. It's very important to put these highlights where you want them. Here we go. I don't know about that one. The abs here are one of the harder parts. You almost want to just dry brush the abs. Because if you put too much on the abs, it'll look weird. It'll look unnatural. What's going on with my phone? That's that SoCal Frostgrave group blowing up. That was funny. It was like on SoCal Tabletop. It's like, hey, why don't we make a SoCal Frostgrave group? I'm like, sure, make a SoCal Frostgrave group, and now instant activity on that game. A lot of following for that game. I still like the game. We played a lot of it, so I'm a little burned out on it, but I'll pick it back up. I got lots of minis for it. In fact, I was thinking about taking my Guild Ball team and turning them into a Frostgrave warband. So now I would have dual purpose for them. Oh, this is quite nice. I'm backing Drop Fleet. Me and two friends are splitting a pledge. I do regret not backing Guild Ball. Would have saved a lot because the minis are expensive. Luckily, you don't need that many to play a game. The tops of the booty there. So I was only going to paint for an hour, right? I don't know. I got motivated, guys. I got motivated. When you get motivated, you gotta write it. This is looking pretty good. I think she's looking pretty good. I'm much happier with how this flesh is turning out. It's got lots of blending. It's got lots of layers to it. It's far more interesting than it was when we started. Far more interesting, but it's also gotta be careful. Gotta feather everything out because the blends are so soft. Oh, Troy, regarding the Batman minis, one of the things I'm going to have to do is try to remember how I painted the red last time on that Harley crew. Hopefully I recorded some of it so I can go back and look at what reds I used, because we want them to match. In some cases, it was almost like an orange. I think I highlighted with orange. It was a real subtle highlight. There we go. Look at that. It's looking good. All right. Back with the Iraqi sand. And it is midnight, so I'm just gonna wrap these up. And we're gonna call it. I'm gonna paint the black. Not 100% done with the mini, but you can see it's looking pretty good. Do a little here. The plan is to get a little that get some water effect and just dump it in here. All right. Let's take black and then we'll be. Looks like Catwoman can't play with the law forces anymore. Uh-oh. Well, as long as she can team with Batman, right? Then you're okay. Oh. Huh. Should that be blue? Should I do that outer rim blue or beige? I think I want to do beige. If I don't like this, I can always come back and make it blue. All right. And, ooh, yeah, this brush is just about seen its final days. This will soon become a dry brush for me. This may have to be black. Nah, it's all right. It'll probably work. Oh. So they changed Catwoman. Okay. Good to know. I have not, there's a guy in our group that plays Catwoman, but, you know, we're all still very new, so I don't think he knows of the change. Wow, that really didn't hide at all. Where's that black coming from? What's going on there? Let's just let that dry. We'll figure it out. I'm just going to stick this right here. There we go. Yeah, we'll figure it out. Let's let that dry. Last game, he beat me to becoming a Sons of Batman. I've been thinking about that program if I wanted to hop in. I don't know. Just hoping maybe Corey or Mark or somebody from our group will step up and do it. If not, I do have the 2 painted crews, obviously, and I could do it. It just would rather not have to do it, if you know what I mean. I'd like to preserve some of my bandwidth for just enjoying games. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love volunteering for stuff, but sometimes I just want to be a player. Batman, I don't know if I really... Actually, I could do organized play for Batman. I'd be okay with that. But if one of the other guys wants to step up and do it, let's give them first crack at it. And if they don't do it, then I'll do it. Anyway, let's finish painting. Enough talk. It's already late. I gotta get up in about 5 hours. Take my kid to the sitter. Well, this black was not very even. I think it's getting so late at night. I notice when it gets really late at night around here, that the paint doesn't cover. You start running into all these other issues. I'm just gonna paint this whole thing black rather than hoping that the Iraqi sand covers. It's not gonna cover. We're just going to paint it black. Transporting this mini is going to be scary. So I might actually, for now, leave him home or in a safe spot. Maybe I'll just designate a safe, specific spot for him in my Relic Knights case. There you go. All right. So if that's all right. This is a real simple paint job. I mean, honestly, this guy is just there to... He's supposed to be on the same base as Marie-Claude, but it's just too busy to try to fit all that on one base. So let me show you where we ended up with Marie-Claude. Let's do a little cleanup. Get all this crud off of the desk so we can see. Didn't paint Adam West Batman again. He's going to have to wait. Maybe tomorrow night. Maybe I'll do a proper stream tomorrow night. Whatever. What's a proper... Since when have I done a proper stream, right? Anyway. Put this up here. I figure I should head to bed. I might try and paint up Batman tomorrow. Treat myself to Pulp City. Cool. Have a good one. Good night. I'm on my way too. Thanks for watching. All right. So here's the final look before we sign off here. So here's obviously still drying. Here's the dude with the nosebleed. Ah! Real simple. Just bloody nose. That's all. And then water effects I'm going to put in the base. And then Marie-Claude. So I think she turned out okay. The skin isn't the smoothest, but it looks okay. I like the kind of surprised look on her face. It's cool. So anyway, that's going to do it for this video. Thanks, guys, for tuning in. Yeah, a lot of rambling tonight. Got a miniature done, actually, seems like. Here's some of the other Takawashi miniatures that are going to be fantastic to paint. Here's a fitness club. And I just barely started that. And then probably my favorite, work study club or whatever. This is when it's going to be really, really fun to paint. Can't wait. All right. So anyways, that's going to do it for this video. I want to thank everybody for watching. Be safe out there, guys. And we will catch you on the next one.